It doesn't matter. Just like you don't matter.
If I had $1 for every time the words popped into my head today, I hate Mr. Thomas. Randomly, like almost like schizophrenically.
Yeah.
Okay, I'd have a lot of dollars. All right.
How many Diet Cokes could you buy? How many Diet Pepsis could you buy with them?
I could buy
At $1 a can.
almost enough to pay you back for
Oh wow.
all those days in high school
Oh wow.
when I would like bum money off of you because I was too
Every
lazy,
day.
too lazy to bring my own.
Every morning.
I know. Yeah.
There were days I would go to the bank and go into school because I thought to myself, man, Wesley's gonna need a fix.
Yeah.
So I would go to the bank, get $20 out, and have them.
Yeah.
This was back when you could get $1 bills from the ATM.
Yeah. Well, as they say, the only thing worse than me fully caffeinated is me
Uncaffeinated.
not fully caffeinated. Yeah. Yeah. On that note, ladies, gentlemen, jellyfish, what have you,
You're roping whales.
Europe and whales, it's all a joke.
Yeah.
You need to quit taking. It's not even just about the podcast anymore. Quit taking life so seriously.
If people could just lean back and laugh at themselves and laugh at life,
Yeah.
the world would be a better place.
Yeah. So why don't you sit back and laugh and just be like me, constantly in a state of peace. I think everything's a joke. I think you're a joke, Mr. Thomas. All right. Well, welcome back. Season 2, episode 2, Smart and Dumb Podcast.
Surprised they brought us back.
Yeah. The critics and I had kind of a conversation, and the ratings were not great, but they were good enough for a Netflix show or for a Spotify podcast. So we got
and really thinking about it, we've got a lot less money in this podcast than Netflix does in any of their terrible shows.
Yeah, and this is still going to come out better than most of the stuff they put out. So
most certainly,
it's going to seem more intelligent, anyways, which is saying a lot.
That is saying a lot.
I'm kind of an idiot.
We're both idiots.
Yeah, pretty much. I wasn't going to say it about you, but I definitely think so.
I have
quietly.
To. Well, I can't be so prideful to think that I'm not an idiot when I have to talk to you every day.
Yeah.
You drag me down quite a bit.
I do my best.
Yeah.
I do my best. Something's got to keep you grounded.
Yeah.
So.
And it's not me.
Yeah. It's really easy for you to be in a classroom listing off these Roman emperors and everybody, oh, he's got aura, this and that,
Have you ever just tried listing off like microbodies or something?
Listing off what?
I don't know, like microbodies, like molecules and stuff.
Okay. No, I haven't. My classroom doesn't delve in quite that deep into those things.
Have you ever considered just naming off cells? You talk about like cells and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Just out of the blue one day, just stop and look at it and say the mitochondria.
You know what though? What's really interesting is you and I, our heads work so differently. Mm-hmm. You have this awesome capacity to memorize information, and I just don't have that. Like a lot of the times, even whenever somebody's asking me a question about a classroom topic, a lot of the times the answer is kind of coming to me as I say it, because it's like I have these core rules that I work everything else out of. It's like I'm working on it for the first time, but I don't have the answers all memorized.
Yeah.
So maybe I'm an idiot.
No, you're not.
Or maybe I'm not. Who knows? But yes, anywho, after a brief discussion with the critics, what they decided is they wanted to actually hear me say something intelligent for a change, which baffled me because I feel like I play the part of an idiot really, really well. It comes natural to me.
There's no playing a part.
Oh, there's no part. It's just who I am, what I am. But the critics asked me to change. They told me that I was not good enough and I needed to change as a person. So, all right. Well, we normally talk about conspiracy theories, but I think on this given day, I think we should avoid talking about conspiracy theories.
And for the record, we're recording this on September 10th.
Yeah. So, the anniversary of 9/11 is tomorrow. But 9/11 itself is still kind of a sensitive enough issue that while there are plenty of conspiracy theories about 9/11, we probably should not touch those
We need to get it to at least the 30th year.
Yeah,
30
yeah,
years.
yeah.
Well, it's only year 23.
Yeah, 7 years. Man, are we going to make it to season 8?
Probably not.
Probably not. We'll see. Could happen. Could happen. Who knows? Maybe we'll be on Joe Rogan by then. Maybe we'll be Joe Rogan by then.
No, we're not.
No, we won't. Anywho,
I am not. Both of us are not willing to put the amount of money into this podcast for that to happen.
yeah. And the students just don't care enough about us to make it happen on
Yeah.
that level. You guys don't rack up enough views like you need to in order to put enough respect on mine and Mr.
Let's
Thomas's
not blame
name.
the students.
Yeah, it's 100% the
No, it's
students' fault.
not.
You as the viewer, I want you to claim responsibility. You're part of the problem. Okay.
Hey. You have to be intelligent this episode.
Okay. All right. Sorry. Like I said, changing of the person. So Mr. Thomas and I were sitting down. We were thinking, well, what are we going to debate? What's a good conspiracy theory? And we found some archaic stuff pre-World War II about aliens and who on, what forth. And we got to thinking, what if we just had an organic conversation about where life on Earth comes from?
Mm-hmm. But, some philosophy, some science, some history.
And some nonsense.
Yeah, just a lot of nonsense.
A lot of nonsense.
Because let's be real.
Yeah.
We'll have like 5% of all this intelligent conversation.
Yeah.
And then we'll devolve into idiocy.
Yeah. Based. Yeah. Yeah. So I was having a conversation with a friend of mine the other week, and we were debating the origins of life on Earth, as people do on a Thursday night, I guess.
On the Xbox?
On Xbox Game Chat, as a matter of fact. Well, this person disagreed with my beliefs, which they're allowed to do, kind of.
No, they're allowed.
They're allowed. They're allowed as long as they have an intelligent opinion on why I'm wrong.
Okay.
I'm okay being told that I'm wrong, as long as somebody can articulate why they think I'm wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not good enough for me for you to tell me I'm wrong because you don't like what I said. That doesn't work for me. That's not good enough. I think that is kind of a cop-out.
I would agree.
Yeah.
You have to have a reason.
You have to have a reason.
You have to be able to explain why you believe what you believe.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's a bad reason, at least have a reason.
Yeah, at least have some kind of a reason.
Don't just say. It's like I tell the students all the time. Just don't say, "Oh, my parents told me to believe this," or "My teachers told me to believe this."
Yeah,
think about it and have a reason for why you think why you're a Republican or you're a Democrat, you're a creationist or you're a.
If you've got all this stuff that you can say, but you only know it because somebody told it to you first, what's the difference between you and a parrot?
Yeah.
I mean, you literally could be some just colorful bird in a cage for all I know.
We live in a time where the internet exists, where people can just have access to all of this information, at their fingertips, or a phone in their pocket.
It's really interesting because we're seeing, and it's going to start to come out, and it's not coming out fast enough if you ask me, but it will come out in time, that young children especially, and I see it most in children who, it's going to start off showing up in the elementary school age, and then you're going to see it in middle school age, and they'll come out of it a little bit as they get in through puberty because different forces start to kind of take control and reroute their brain. But these kids who've been raised on tablets and computers and short format videos and YouTube videos, they're growing up in a time where that's kind of replaced the nighttime storybook. And there are a lot of scientific studies out there that are pointing to that fundamentally changes the networking in your brain that's commonly associated with problem solving skills.
Well, and even just as I've never seen that study, but I saw a study about this a couple days ago that said that in 1900 the average attention span, and I didn't look into the way this was discovered or anything, I just read the headline.
Yeah.
That in 1900 the average attention span for a human being was 15 seconds. Right? For like a really short burst attention span, right?
Yeah.
You know what it is now?
What's that?
8
seconds.
Yep.
Huh.
And they attribute that to like the internet, these short, like TikTok, Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts.
Well, ultimately, these people are going to be a product of their environment, and their environment is spoon feeding them constant stimulation. And then you take that away, and it's like you took the meth away from a drug addict. I mean, they just lose their minds
Mm-hmm.
because they're addicted. I mean, it's their stim.
Yeah.
It's their stim. And in the same way that I can tell people, don't do drugs, kids, I'm now going to tell you, don't do short format videos, kids. Don't do that. Okay, it's bad for you. It's bad for your brain. This is good for your brain. Watch more Smart and Dumb podcasts.
Yeah, and listen to it and watch the whole video.
Yeah.
Or listen to the whole video, I should say, since we're poor and we don't have a video camera.
Yeah. Anywho,
we should actually get on track. We kind of sidetracked ourselves into.
You're right. So this conversation I was having with this guy.
Yeah.
Okay. It was all about where life on Earth comes from. Okay. And I set up this conversation as a trap because I wanted him to contradict me, and then I wanted to look smarter than him. So I set this up with an agenda. Okay. That was very rude of me to do.
Most of your conversations have an agenda.
Yeah, they do. So I told him, I said, okay. I said, you think that my opinion on all of this is wrong? I said, okay. You've got 3 choices of where all life on Earth comes from. Okay? And you've got to pick one. Because in some way, shape, or form, one of these 3 theories has to be correct. And there's nothing out there possible that comes from anything other than these 3 theories. There's no other choice. It's these 3. Okay? The first of these theories, as I'm going to list them, is what I'm going to say is creationism. That there must be some God, whether that's the Christian God, the Islamic God, the Jewish God, a God of some interpretation, or your interpretation, okay, who has created not only life on Earth, but life as it is known to exist, or unknown to exist. All life must be created by this all-powerful deity, okay, in some way, shape, or form. So you either have to take a creationist argument, which would be like that, okay? The next argument is what's referred to as spontaneous creation, or sometimes called spontaneous generation. And this is the argument that if you look back in time on Earth, Earth forms as this ball of molten magma so many billion years ago or trillion years ago, what have you, okay?
Billion.
I wouldn't know. I'm just a science person.
No,
I don't know. I don't have. Again, I don't memorize this stuff.
I'm not even insulting you.
No.
But like that's to me is his history.
Okay.
So I've read that
that is in your department.
I mean, I've read that 4.9 billion years enough time because I as a sidetrack I like space, and so I've read that 4.9 billion years.
You would.
Yeah, I'm weird.
It's all that Starfield you play.
Starfield and watching Star Trek.
Yeah. Oh. Speaking of important news regarding space and space media, rest in peace, James Earl Jones.
Oh yeah.
The voice of a legend, a man whose works were mythical in film. Anywho, yeah, spontaneous generation is this idea that if you have all of the right molecules in just the right concentration, that there is some offhand chance that they interact together just right to spontaneously create life from entirely non-living molecules, and that cells just sort of
happen.
Okay? And there's some scientific history to this, okay? This used to be the accepted scientific theory for a time. If you go way back in time, science is sort of run by and dictated by the church, okay? And I'm sure you probably know more about this than me, but there were at one point philosophers who were threatened to be executed for claiming that the Earth was not the center of the solar system. Is that right?
It wasn't that they were going against church teachings.
Mm-hmm.
It was that they were claiming it as fact, right? So when Galileo and Copernicus,
sure,
go around and say, "Hey, we actually live in a heliocentric solar system."
Yeah. Meaning, of course, that the sun is at the center.
That the sun's at the center of the solar system. They portrayed that as a fact, and that there was no room for discussion.
Okay.
And of course, we know today that they were right.
Yeah.
But back then,
that was radical.
That was a radical theory.
Yeah.
And the church was funding people like Galileo.
Yeah.
And Copernicus was a Protestant, so they didn't fund him, but they were funding people like Galileo.
Yeah.
And anyway, and so what they wanted them to do is just say, hey, say this is a theory.
Mm-hmm.
Don't call it fact. Call it a theory. And Galileo wouldn't do that. So the church was definitely in the wrong.
Yeah.
Because they were objectively wrong.
Yeah.
Well, but also a lot of the repression of the church in the Middle Ages, especially when it comes to scientists, a lot of the time it's got to do with just how stubborn the scientists were.
Oh yeah, everything's always the scientist's fault.
I didn't say that. I literally just said it was half the church problem.
You history people, I can't stand. You history people are just so blameless all the time.
No, I think historians historically will blame the church more often than not.
Oh.
No.
Nuh-uh. No.
Okay.
Okay, but anywho. So there used to be this belief, of course, science was kind of built on creationism.
Uh-huh.
But then there were some folks that came out who said basically that if you put all the right ingredients together in a sealed container, that you'll just have life happen. Okay? And that was accepted theory for a long time. And then there was a guy, Louis Pasteur, who actually named for him is the process of pasteurization that we use to keep drinks like milk and even a lot of food products and other canned products clean. He sort of disproves that finally by essentially the people who thought that life could spring up from nothing. The problem is that they didn't understand sterile technique and they kept accidentally introducing bacteria and cells into an otherwise clean sample. And then they'd come back days later and find, oh my goodness, there's life in here. It came from nothing. No, they just didn't know what they were doing. And Louis Pasteur kind of comes around and changes the ideas of this with some experiments that he did and kind of throws out spontaneous creation. But the ideas that life sort of comes from these things is kind of inherent with the idea that you have the Big Bang and you have Earth that forms from this cooling rock and you have all these things. Sooner or later, you have to make that jump from non-living to living. And a lot of that revolves around, in some form or another, that these things have to come from something. Cell theory is a three-part theory. One of those parts is that all cells come from pre-existing cells. Mm-hmm. Sooner or later, if you trace them back, there's got to be a cell number one, and that had to come from something. And so you either say it was there to start with, or it formed from non-living things, okay? If you're saying it formed from non-living things, then you are a supporter of spontaneous generation or spontaneous creation, okay? Which, of these three things, is the only thing that at this point in time is scientifically testable.
And it's been disproven.
But it also is the only thing that is scientifically disproven. Mm-hmm. That scientific creation, spontaneous creation does not work.
How long would it take? How long, do you know just offhand how long they tested this? So like if let's say I threw all of this stuff into a beaker, I don't know, and I left it there for 20 years, right? Like, how long was the timetable on this?
I don't know. Let me look that up here real quick.
Of course, if it was that easy, I'm sure somebody's done it. But bird just ran into my window.
Says here the spontaneous generation was accepted for approximately 2,000 years, but that doesn't tell me how long.
It doesn't matter.
Okay, so here's one. In 1745, John Needham briefly boiled broth, which contained both plant and animal matter. He believed this brief period of boiling would kill microorganisms living in the broth. After sealing the broth mixture in a flask, he let it sit for 3 days. So some of these were only... some of these things, some of these tests that they ran were only conducted for a few days at a time, it looks like.
Okay.
Louis Pasteur published results of an experiment where he disproves them. Yeah, I mean... keep in mind that these guys are probably being paid to do work. I don't know who was
I was just
funding
curious.
Pasteur at the
It doesn't
time,
matter.
if he was being funded. But
I guess what my point. I guess I asked, and then I kind of
is there some
retracted that.
quantum probability that if you had it there for long enough?
Yeah,
I mean, you could say that.
but then you get to the point where, well, we've been on Earth for
yeah,
all these thousands of years,
and you can say that. There's also some quantum probability that if I lean up against a wall for eternity, eventually I just magically slip through it because all the molecules align in a certain point. Since we're mostly empty space, because of intermolecular space, we just sort of phase through each other, or phase through things like the wall.
That'd be pretty cool.
That just would be cool. I would like to get a picture of it if it ever does happen.
But imagine if like half your body just ends up in the wall.
Well, yeah, and I don't know how it would work, because like, what happens if half of you goes through and then the bottom half of the molecules don't line up right? Are you just stuck there in the wall?
Or you just
cut
in half?
It's an idea that works in theory, and it's a simple idea to comprehend, that the molecules just line up just right to where that happens and things just slip through.
Mm-hmm.
But like, you've never seen it happen.
Mm-hmm.
And what we're talking about is that difference between, well, yeah, I guess theoretically these things could interact that way, and maybe there is a chance. But you're talking about with spontaneous generation or spontaneous creation is that this happened.
Uh-huh.
And the chances of that happening to form the simplest cell, and the level of chemistry going on that keeps basic cells alive, is questionable.
Yeah,
it is. Okay. And then the final argument, if you don't believe life comes from, say, from a creationist argument or from a, quote, God, and if you don't believe that life springs up from non-living things, then life simply has to come from other life.
So aliens.
So I presented this argument to the guy. I said, you've only got three options. You either believe in a God, you either believe in something that's been scientifically disproven, or you believe in aliens. Which one do you believe in? And he did not like being put in this position of the argument. So,
knowing who you're talking about, I can just imagine that.
Yeah, it did not go well. He was not pleased. But it is food for thought.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going to reveal to you my true beliefs, but I will tell you what I do not believe originated life on Earth. I do not believe aliens introduced life to Earth. With that being said,
let's talk about it.
Mr. Thomas, are aliens real?
So this is one of those questions I always have to add a caveat.
Yeah.
Because I think it doesn't matter.
Okay. Elaborate.
Here's why. Intelligent aliens, I should say.
Okay.
Like, is there an offhand chance that underneath the Europa, in those oceans on Europa or whatever, that there might be like an alien whale swimming around in that ocean? Yeah, maybe. Who cares, though?
That would be pretty based, though.
Yeah. But do I think that there's intelligent life that originates from outside this solar system? I don't think it matters, the answer to that.
Okay.
Because we're never going to see them.
I'm going to argue this point with you.
Okay.
Okay. I think it does matter. And I was watching a documentary the other day, and I'm going to break some news to you. I've seen them.
You've seen aliens?
I've seen aliens.
Oh,
I was watching a documentary.
Does this happen to be like a documentary about Meta, the Mark Zuckerberg?
No.
Okay.
No. So I was watching, and the cameramen got a lot of really clear shots. They're about 9 foot tall.
Okay.
They have really long hair, and they have blue skin.
Okay.
And I actually saw they have this awesome symbiotic relationship with many of the organisms in nature that they can take. They wear their hair in ponytails, and they can take it and sort of plug it into the other animals and sort of become one with them. And they ride around on flying dragons.
Isn't this Avatar?
The documentary, Avatar.
The movie?
The documentary?
The movie?
James Cameron went out and photographed all of those things, and he didn't do that for you to call it a work of fiction.
I think anybody who used that much CGI and
CGI?
Yeah.
How do you spell that?
How do I spell CGI?
Yeah.
I think I just did.
Oh.
Anyway.
Anywho.
You're supposed to be intelligent, Mr. Ray, if I may remind you. But no, to go back to this question, I'm of two minds about it.
Okay.
If aliens are real, first off, my answer to that is I don't think it matters. Because we're never going to meet them.
Okay.
Just with how big space is.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I'm a proponent and a believer in the early Earth hypothesis.
Okay.
This idea that the sun is the first generation of stars. So our sun, I think, is either a third or fourth generation star from the Big Bang, right? And the idea is that as stars blow up and go supernova, they create more. They create more building blocks for better stars, right?
Okay.
Is the way I understand it, and that our star, the sun, is one of the first generation stars capable of supporting life, of being able to last long enough, to burn bright enough, to put off enough heat, to be able to support life and support a Goldilocks zone.
Okay.
And we're only in like the sixth or fifth generation of stars, and most stars don't have. If we accept evolution,
okay,
we have. It's taken us like 3 billion years of evolution to get to intelligent life.
Yeah.
Right? Most stars don't live that long.
That's true.
So our star is a remarkably special one in that it's going to last for another couple billion years.
Yeah.
And so,
one day, it's going to cause somebody a really bad day, but that will not be our problem.
No, it won't.
It might be my problem.
I doubt it. You're going to die at like 60. Right?
Maybe. I don't know.
But anyway.
It's not my call.
No, it's not. But this idea is that with just how long evolution took on Earth.
Yeah.
If you assume that we're not special, and you assume that's how long evolution takes to create intelligent life, if most stars don't live that long,
then
is there enough time for there to be life on most stars? And when there is, and where there are these newer stars that are capable of supporting life, they're so young that
there just hasn't been enough
time. There hasn't been enough time
for other solar systems or other
other stars or other
stars
or
other
intelligent life to come to an existence.
Yeah, because they haven't had the 3 billion years of development.
Well, we have. So my proponent is that we are a remarkably early species on the galactic timescale.
So does that mean that one of these days, when we colonize all the other planets, that we're going to become the galactic overlords?
I hope so.
I hope so too. That would be extremely based.
Yeah.
I'm all about humanity first.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. That's our real political opinions, guys. Humanity first.
Yeah, if aliens exist, I would not be opposed to a one-world government.
Yeah.
Because then, like, we're all just humans, and they're them.
Yeah. They're the other guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the term for this is, are we
xenophobes?
Are we xenophobes? In the actual literal sense, and not in the sense that it's often ascribed to in the political world today?
In the sense that I would place a human over any other species. Yes. It's like if I had to say a human over a dog, I might, or a human over my sister's dog. I love my sister's dog, right? But if I have to, I'm going to save the human because it's a human. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with it being an alien or whatever.
I see.
I'd even have an emotional connection with that dog, and I'd still save a human I didn't know.
Have you ever entertained that you're just a bad dog owner?
Have you ever entertained that you're just a bad human?
Yes, I have. Anywho,
but that's my answer to that question.
Okay.
It doesn't matter because they're so far away, and I don't think other aliens exist because there just hasn't been enough time.
Yeah.
According to evolution.
I really think, and it's tricky to discuss. It is because of, for one, the nature of our jobs.
Uh-huh.
That's a big one. because whatever opinions that we might express, we do not want to persuade or change the opinions of others
It all
unilaterally. It needs to be something where somebody becomes informed and
Yeah.
believes the information that they
It
have.
all goes back to them having a reason.
Yeah, have a reason. Be
Yeah.
intelligent. Don't believe something because
because
Mr.
me-
Ray or Mr. Thomas told you to believe something. You parrot. Don't do that. Don't do that. If I need something to believe what I said just because I said it, I'll go to the store and I'll buy a Conure. Okay,
A what?
Conure, Conure, Conure. Okay, no, that is a bird. Don't look at me like I'm crazy. I am crazy, but I know my bird.
Look, I don't doubt you. I just
Look,
have.
Conures. They originate from
Oh,
South America,
okay.
and they are generally vocal birds
Okay.
that are very inquisitive.
Dude,
Yes.
I had no idea what you were trying to say.
You know what? I have no idea what you're trying to say 90% of the time, but I nod my head and act like I understood it, okay? To make you feel good.
But I wanted to educate myself. I didn't know that bird existed, and now I do.
Now you do.
Yeah, so now if you ever bring up a Connor again, I'll know what we're talking about.
You better. Otherwise, I'm going to make fun of you, call you dumb, and things like that.
Well, you'll do that anyway.
I probably will. So I think that the whole debate on where life comes from is really interesting. And I saw an analogy once, and I don't remember where I saw it from, but sue me for plagiarism, I guess. I don't know. I don't care. That looking out in space at the planets we can reach and the moons we can reach, and saying that life doesn't exist because we can't find it, would be like going to the ocean with a tablespoon
Mm-hmm.
and scooping up a tablespoon of seawater, looking for fish in it, seeing no fish in the seawater in the spoon, and making the assumption that since there's none in the spoon, they don't exist at all.
Mm-hmm.
We are so tiny in the cosmic scheme of things. And our technology is so primitive in the cosmic scheme of things that it would be, I would say, naive of us as a people to believe that we're the only thing that's out there. Now, at the same time, does that mean that whatever else is out there is intelligent life? No, that's not what it means. And does that mean that whatever is out there is living in the sense of what we define living in the first place? No, I would also agree not to that. We have things on Earth that we still can't decide if they're alive or not.
Name one.
Viruses.
Yeah.
Yeah, viruses. I was actually just talking about it in my classroom the other day. One of the first things we talk about is characteristics of life.
Mhm.
And the characteristics of life are supposed to apply to all living things. Otherwise, they're not the characteristics of all living things, right? Well, viruses don't fit those things very neatly. They fit some of them. They don't fit others. And then some of them they kind of fit, but with help. And so there's a big debate on whether or not they're alive. I mean, they're not even made of cells. They're not cellular. They're just protein, balls of protein, sometimes quite literally shaped like a sphere of protein with some RNA in the middle. And they're pretty simple things. So life doesn't always look like what we typically imagine it looking like if you think viruses are alive.
Yeah.
Which, truthfully, I'm undecided. Maybe we have defined life wrong. And
Or maybe our definition of life's too narrow.
right, maybe our definition of life is too narrow. Maybe we're making the assumption that we understand all of it and that we see all of it and that we get all of it. And my final Mr. Ray analogy of wisdom here that I'm going to point out is if I were to teach a goldfish calculus, or to try to, it wouldn't go well. The goldfish is not going to learn calculus. Does that mean that I'm working with a defective goldfish?
No, you're just trying to teach the goldfish too much.
Yeah, I'm trying to teach the goldfish too much. Perfectly fine goldfish, even a really smart goldfish, it's not going to do calculus, guys. It's not Newton. Okay? The goldfish is limited by the capabilities of its hardware, by the capabilities of what that little goldfish brain can handle. And I have to wonder, as humans, if we ourselves have limitations, if we are limited by our hardware, and if there are things out there which you could call scientific if you understood them, if perhaps we are simply too ill-equipped to understand the scientific rules behind our comprehension.
Well,
because since the goldfish doesn't understand the calculus, It doesn't mean there's something wrong with the
Uh-huh.
goldfish, but it also doesn't mean that calculus is not a very real thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it would have no idea what it doesn't have any
Yeah.
idea about.
You don't know what you don't know.
You don't know what you don't know.
It'd
And
be-
you
it'd
can't
be
even
like-
imagine it.
It'd be like if we went back in time 6,000 years, found a caveman, and showed him a Chromebook and the internet. Well, he would think we were magical. He'd think we
Yes.
were gods.
We were wizards or
Yeah.
gods, that we have supernatural
Yes.
powers because
When-
our
and all-
understanding of things
yeah.
is just superior.
But he could be the smartest caveman on the planet, and he just didn't. He wouldn't have had the brain,
Yeah.
not even the brain capacity, just the context.
Yeah. In his own way, he's going to be limited by
Yes,
the
and
limitations
and
of
I
his
totally
hardware.
agree that right now we can't answer this question.
Yeah.
We can make hypotheses, like we can say, oh yeah, based on the stars and how old they are,
Yeah.
maybe we're one of the first ones.
Maybe.
But
But nothing's concrete.
yeah, but nothing's concrete.
But here's what is concrete. Ladies and gentlemen, you have three choices. You either are a creationist, you believe in aliens, or you believe in spontaneous generation.
And those are the three choices.
And those are the three choices. I cannot possibly fathom something that does not fit into those three things.
and this is what actual scientists say too.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So
I mean,
this isn't just something you came up with. This is something that
I did kind of come up with it on a whim,
dude,
but that doesn't mean I'm the first person to think
I'm
of it.
I'm trying to build you up right now, and you're just tearing yourself down.
I don't need you to build me up.
Okay, fine.
I don't need you to build me up. I'm my own man. All right? Kind of. As I drink your Diet Pepsi.
I'm pretty sure you bought that one.
I'm trying to build you up here. And you are unilaterally getting in my way. And everything I do, you're just constantly in the way.
Yeah, I know I'm a bad person.
Constantly in the way. I never thought I'd say this. But it appeared to me in a dream this week that I think Neuralink is the future.
What?
Neuralink's the future, guys. I need Elon Musk to finish Neuralink right now, and we need to get one into Mr. Thomas so he can start making some sense. All right? We need to get a software update in there and fix this man. We need to fix this man.
Why,
all right?
why do we have to end this fighting? We had a good conversation,
Okay, you're right.
but I need a Neuralink to put in all human beings.